If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And please join me on my website at nanice.com. Thank you.
It's your time for Chai with Nanice. Get ready for substance, clarity, change, and especially empowerment. Get ready to turn over stones, uncover stories, and get to the heart of the matter in every area of your life. Any mood runs, any emotion flies, and your dreams are within your grasp. There are no limits or boundaries, and your comfort zone is out of reach, yet it's the safest place you will ever be. Come in, sit down, and have some chai with Nanice.
Welcome to Chai with Nanice. I'm Nanice. I'm really excited about today's show. We have James Martinez on the show. By popular demand, he's back. And today's topic is about what's really going on with the world economy and how you have a personal responsibility to help shift that. And James is going to explain how that works today and how you can prepare for the future right now. And he says it's all in what you value. Surviving the financial meltdown or breakthrough to real freedom. It's your choice. Hi, James.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for being on the show. And how are you doing?
Doing great. Thank you very much.
Awesome. So you are an expert in what's going on today on the planet and the economy. And I know that you've worked with a lot of powerful companies and a lot of powerful entities out there to help bring light to the subject and the truth to the surface of what's really going on. And I know that there's a lot of people out there, I'd say the masses, who are just so caught up in fear and so caught up in, what's going to happen to me, that they don't really take the time to try to find out what's really happening because they're believing the media and the masses and all that. And to those people, what would you initially say?
Well, I think all of this chaos that we're seeing financially, people really need. It's difficult to initially react in a manner which would suggest that this is a great thing that's happening, when actually it actually is a great thing that's happening. Most people that are going to hear that, whether they're listening live or later on, are going to jump back and, well, wait a minute. Well, and the reason why I say that is because we're seeing the end of an era and the beginning of a new era because of what's happened to man's interrelationship and the speed, essentially, at which consciousness is moved and accelerated forward, which has affected, believe it or not, the way in which we interact with each other, but also with how we interact with machines, i.e. computers. The real issue here is, I know I deal with people all over the world that call me and all over the U.S., and I know the basic kind of temperament and barometer for most people. And most people right now are really upset. They're really scared. They're desperate, destitute in some cases, suicidal. They're breaking up their marriages. They're doing the families falling to pieces. Most of which is because there's misunderstanding that there's an economic crisis that's going on. And that is true. However, the nature of the economics, most people won't even discuss or nor understand what has really happened. And we can go talk about Madoff and the Federal Reserve and do all that other stuff, which everybody else knows really what's happened. When you have a fiat currency and you create more and more debt, it will eventually collapse. But that's not really what is the real truth. The real truth is that with the acceleration of technology and the interaction and interplay between the digital environment and the thinking process, sped up and accelerated computers and the way we process information from port A to point B in the internet environment, destroyed banking. Computers destroyed banking. That was an invention by human beings, and it started destroying banking many, many years before we're at today. So this is why I want everybody to seriously sit back and consider when they're ranting and raving at their banks and employees of the bank and people that represent the money. Now, I want to make it perfectly clear, I am not on the side of the policymakers that have created the way it is. I am on the side of the public who participated in its creation and had information indicating this many, many years ago, which they didn't pay attention to. So if we were going to blame anybody, point fingers at anybody for the economic crisis, you just take that finger and point it right at yourself, because that's really what's happening. Because I know a lot of people that do not have any financial problems because they foresaw this a long time ago and they're set up and understood it, and because they were well studied, well briefed, and understood what was going on. So they won't have to go through this kind of transformation process as what has happened, what has been the United States of America will no longer be because of its financial infrastructure. But that's not even the main point. The main point is pressure is increasing and the walls are caving in and people can't pay their bills and people can't pay their employees and people can't afford food eventually and people, there's shortages. Now all these things are going to occur because of the tension on the family unit financially. So we are at the crossroads, really, of where people are going to make decisions. What are you going to do? Are you going to get violent? Are you going to ask for help? Are you going to declare bankruptcy? Are you going to go to court? Are you going to move out of the country? I get these questions every single day. And really, all that's happened is that the information overflow has destroyed banking, and they cannot have independent entities of families that have had dynastic wealth for most of all our lives that we've been listening and beyond, 300, 400, 500 years. These families have had dynastic wealth, been controlling the planet's wealth for a long time. That whole is ending right now. That is why everybody's grabbing and seizing and stealing behind the scenes. We see it in the news every day. It's because everybody knows something is up. It's the end, but we don't know where we're going. So everybody that's participating in your show today that is listening and has to deal with their financial issues, it's not a mistake.
That it breaks through to something greater, and maybe we can talk about that in a bit.
You've got to see this as an opportunity because, what was important before in terms of the American dream of having, 2 houses, 2 cars, a trophy wife, and, a summer home, that used to be valuable to people. That won't be valuable in the future, not for most of us. What will be valuable are our friends, our food, and shelter, and basics. That's going to cause and force people to go through a massive identity shift, which is what they're dealing with right now, because a lot of people are moving back in and getting roommates, moving back in with their family, switching jobs, taking 2 jobs. A whole mass of adjustments are happening all over the place. So that has some good qualities to it.
Yes, that does. It does. Now, you had mentioned a few minutes ago that the only person that we can point a finger at is ourselves, and I'm going to speculate that there's a lot of people listening to us out there that are thinking, I didn't know, how is it my fault? How is it my responsibility? And it's not about blame, and it's not about shame.
I'll tell you that right now.
Yes.
I'll answer that right now for you, because I can already tell people who are like, oh, thank you for saying that, and you get the point across. Well, you have to, in order to get out of the situation that you're in, you have to take full responsibility and understand how you created your reality and got yourself into that position and participated in getting all these debts and dealing with mortgage companies and just signing contracts which none of you understood when you were getting into them. Nobody forced you to sign, these credit card agreements. Nobody even understands them, because I ask everybody single day when they talk to me. I said, did you understand what you were signing? No. They just said they were going to loan me the. Nobody reads anything. So if you don't read anything, people, and you sign a contract, I'm sorry. I have to start there with you first.
Yeah. Well, those contracts are set to a collective consciousness that has created that.
And
it's not about blame or shame. It's about, if you know that you're responsible for creating something, then that gives you all the power to shift it. And the only way that you can shift it is first in your consciousness and first in your own personal life. And I think that's what you're saying. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, knowing that, there's a lot of gifts to that. But see, here's the thing. When I deal with people on the radio that have come to me, and I've dealt with banks, and I know every little trick that they do and how they manipulate everybody's head, and I extrapolate on how they do it step by step on everything I've done and all my archives. I've completely torn the thing to pieces, so people understand that, not only did they have a responsibility and they chose to participate in the particular banking system that they got involved in. They didn't have to do it a certain way, but they did it, which is why we have all this, alleged debt all over the place. They got themselves in a situation that education or those choices or that programming was not installed like in 5 minutes. That was like years and years and years of social conditioning to think a certain way about money and the way we budget ourselves. And I don't care what TV show you're watching, who it is, whatever it is, most of that program that's is people walking backwards into their future based on old, obsolete model of thinking that is going to fail if they do not alter the internal environment associated with the decision-making process of what they value and what the real truth is. We are living under global, so much, credit card debt. But I understand, people don't even understand really the truth why the credit card was invented. It was invented as a media extension to create and to attach to the physical body a kinesthetic response to consumers buying something, a feeling, so that cash in one hand versus a piece of plastic in the other, the plastic feels better than the cash, when it's a lot smarter to use cash than rather use something that you can't feel what you've just done. Vegas knows this rule. Vegas is about taking your money, and nothing else. So when you go there, you put in your money and you get chips for it. The whole transition kinesthetically or visually changes the way in which our value system is perceived at that moment. When if I put $300 down in a hand, cash in 20s, and then put 3 chips down, they're 2 different feelings. So this was designed to nail people a long time ago. It was done very brilliantly based upon our fiat current money system. It was done with our advertisers. It was all paid for. It took a long, long time to kind of insert that programming into the central nervous system of the world, really. Now, what I do is I break that apart and then change their central nervous system and their guidance system or the way in which they perceive like a different angle, so they can see more, but see figure and ground as they're looking at media and going out into the world to see what's actually happening. Because if you don't change your perception right now, you will go down. It's being forced right now. You can call it 2012, you can call it whatever you want. People's perception is going through a massive change, whether they like it or not, period. It's going to happen.
So it's like we're breaking down the program.
Yeah, sure. Like when you go head-to-head with the ego, it puts up resistance. It doesn't like change. It doesn't like to go into the unknown, and it puts up resistance and creates scenarios and ideas because it really doesn't want to go to the transformation. It does not want to go through that to see what they cannot see. Denial, And a lot of people are in denial about what's happening.
Of course, and I think people are in denial because that's the way most of us were brought up, to be in denial. It's in our DNA to be in denial, and it really takes something traumatic to wake someone up. It would be like, somebody walks across the street and they don't look both ways. They're in denial that there's any cars there, and they spend their whole life doing that, and one day a car hits them. And that's such a trauma and such a wake-up call that suddenly they can't be in denial that there are cars in the street and they need to look both ways. And I think the same is true now, that this is such a wake-up call. I mean, it's huge. And really, it's been building up, but it wasn't a wake-up call because it was still under the threshold. And it's just recently reached that threshold where it affects everyone. Everyone it affects. And so here we are. We're in the wake-up call. Yeah. This
is basically the wake-up call. Anybody that's in the U.S. right now that's living here, you chose to be here right now. You want to go through it. One of the biggest asset you will have is the ability to forest through the information. There's so much information overflowing so fast. It would be like walking through a room and hearing 300 different radio stations at the same time and trying to figure out which is the most important message and which is the important that's not important. That's what we're swimming in a sea of information. Unfortunately, people bounce off from the television environment to the computer environment to the handheld environment to the print environment, and those are the sources in which they get their information and kind of determine their perception determines what's happening now. What's happening now is not entirely visual. It's not visual. It's something different. It's a mystery landscape. A lot of people, the metaphor that all of us were it was suggested was when the Matrix movie came out. That was a metaphor of what's happening in the digital environment now. A lot of things were left out, the effects of all those things. But that's where we're at now. So we got a whole nation of people that are some have no clue about what's about to happen. None at all.
Yeah.
We've got people, most of the news now and the financial news requested, this is the first now, everybody, they requested martial law.
Really?
So basically they've asked to suspend the Constitution and have the military come in and take over. Because, why? Because of economic stress has turned into violence in that country, in that state. And I couldn't believe this because I said it was going to be happening because I've been asking people to consider surrendering rather than resisting. And for a lot of people that hear that at first, that sounds like completely insane. But when you look at it from a different perspective, to peaceably assemble and to surrender rather than resist, you actually create less violence in the energy field. So so that's what's happening now. States are saying we don't want any violence, bring in the military. Let's suspend our Constitution. So this is all because people have not collectively understood where we've had. So we got some people saying that are enforcing the law and putting guns into our faces. They don't even know they're going through their own identity crisis because they think they're in the right. And they're completely wrong. If they sit down with me for 30 minutes, it's over. They'll want to quit their job. So one reason I'm saying all this is because the brewing that is going on behind the scenes that the media is not reporting is possibly going to turn into violence if people do not understand and take the shortest path. In other words, this is a great time for everybody to meet their neighbors, have a conversation with somebody you never have, reach out, bridge minds, and make allies. Because it's really up to the public to end and create something new that's going on now.
What do you think that something new will be?
Well, we're going to have to decide, everybody in this country we're going to have to determine what value is and what freedom is. Because right now we have no clue. We haven't had a clue what freedom is for a long time. Most of us have been working for the banks and doing it voluntarily. I talk to people calling me up and say, well, I got $80,000 of alleged credit card debt and I can't do it anymore, and they put this interest up. And I said, so what do you do? He goes, oh, I'm a doctor. Oh, really? So you shouldn't have, what happened? And he goes, how long have you been a doctor? Oh, about 15 years. How long you had those credit cards? 20. I said, so what you really do is you work for the bank. You work for the bank. It took you 20 years to accumulate this, and you snapped. You work for the bank. You're not a doctor. You work for the bank. That is what you do, because when you make your paycheck, boom, it's already gone to some bankers. And I said, you're a doctor. I said, you never understood what you signed? And no, they don't. I don't care what person's education is. This is a major, not the time for everybody to point fingers, because I could do all, and I've done all that, and I've explained who's who and what's what. It's really up to people to decide, okay, what is the best course of action, and I have to change the way I'm living. I may have to get 2 jobs, and how can I do it and with the least amount of stress?
So this transition, what's on the other side of it, do you think?
Well, on the other side of it, globally, we're going to have to determine how this country is going to deal with money. My feelings is, unfortunately, we will submit to whatever is given to us, and we will go totally digital. We're going to have to deal with a different currency. The dollar is not looking like it's going to be a currency that's going to be used in the future. China is getting ready to dump trade agreements. Brazil, other countries are having this. We're hanging by a thread, basically, and everybody knows it. I think everybody that's in the streets and in the neighborhoods is all seeing the for rent signs, and businesses are closing, and this is the beginning of a big transition. I do have meetings behind the scenes with people, and when I get permission to speak about what is the next step.
Mm-hmm.
I'm allowed to do so, but at this point, we're going to go digital, and there's going to be a different currency. I do know that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're already digital now. I mean, it's what are we going to do with our rate of exchange with other countries,
Mm-hmm.
and then what are we going to do with our own here, and what are we going to do
Right.
with the trillions, billions, trillions? We don't even have a number to describe how much we owe to the world. And let's put it down for you and me in Disneyland here.
Mm-hmm.
People's
Yeah.
mortgages, credit cards, all that. We're going to see inflation go up. We're already seeing gas prices go up again. All this is like, for some people, it creates so many walls in their reality that they can do things that they don't want to do, like take it out on each other. Or
Yes.
I've had a number of people come to me ready to get divorced, and I know what they do. I tell these women and guys over the phone, I know you two have been yelling at each other for the last 2 years about this, and both of you are wrong. So quit taking it out on each other.
Right.
Grow up, realize what you've done, realize you participated, realize look at the bigger picture, and stop.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm totally for taking a human being that is in that state, because most of what I do is feels like psychiatry more than legal stuff.
Mm.
And
Sure.
being able to help them through a transition so they understand what happened to them, and that they need to really rewrite the software that's running them, that
Yeah.
runs their financial future. That there's behavioral software that's been installed and they don't even realize what it is. And those beliefs have to
That's
do
true.
with, yeah, all that stuff ties in. So
Right in our
that's what I'm currently working on now behind the scenes. I've already started doing it. Probably by the middle of this month, I'm going to have some major announcements about that. So I'll be able to take a person who's got this mortgage problem, credit card, and all this the financial stuff, and take them through this kind of classroom setting. It's taken to a point, and then at some point rewrite their behavioral software and send them on their way.
Are you familiar with theta healing?
I have heard of it, yes.
Yeah, so I'm a theta healer, and it's really working on that subconscious level. It's working like the person doesn't even need to participate. You just need their permission, and you actually can change those programs, those beliefs on a subconscious level, and then it changes everything. So we need to talk about that sometime. I'll tell you more about it. But
Almost definitely.
yeah, cool. Now, you said something about alleged credit card debt, and I know that there's people out there who heard alleged and they're going, alleged? How is it alleged?
You're right. Okay, there we go. All right.
Yeah.
First, that trigger, I say that word on purpose, and I never have the word credit card debt ever in any language thing I have on purpose, because it is alleged.
Yeah.
Okay, when you get a credit card, you get the credit card agreement. You go swipe your card at the grocery store, you spend it, you get the little white sheet that says, I agree to pay a customer agreement, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff that you didn't understand when you decided to go into business working for these guys. You sign that off, you get your bill the next month. The merchant gets paid because the bank creates money out of thin air, gives it to the merchant, and then you work for a living to pay the bank. So the bank really didn't do anything. They have all the power completely and the way things are now, so they can create money out of thin air anytime they want. So, when I say alleged credit card debt, you think when somebody comes up to me and they could have $85,000 of alleged credit card debt, right? And they've been carrying that kind of, I call it it's like a hypnotic suggestion is really what it is. Because people really don't understand the banking system and don't understand what a loan really is, an unsecured loan really is, and that the bank never really loans you money. They just create the money out of thin air, and that's it. And you get it, and you end up working for them. So while in my history I was behind the scenes, looking at behavior modification stuff when I was working with Walter Boert way back when, and I started looking at the money system, but I was looking at it from a behavioral standpoint, from what happens with a rich thinker versus a poor thinker and the interrelationship thereof.
Yeah.
So I discovered, it took a long process, that the banks don't loan money, and there's never been a court case ever in the United States where a credit card company has proven that they've loaned anything to anybody, ever.
Wow.
Because banks don't do that. They've never done that.
They don't do what exactly?
They don't give you loans in terms of what you think. They create it out of thin air. So if you're going to, go head to head with a card company, you have to know how the money was created, how they created the money. Now this has been like laid out in countless documentaries. It's all over the web. This is public information. Everybody knows about that. But that
I don't think everybody knows
scenario.
about that. I think most people don't know about that. I think people are surprised to hear that money's created out of thin air. And
I know,
for
a
those
lot of people are. Well,
yeah.
A lot of people are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Can you elaborate on that? Please? How does that happen?
How does it happen? Well, if
how
anybody
can money
goes
be created in air?
by the determining force in which the United States allowed to have happen. The Federal Reserve is a private corporation. The way it gives out money, if anybody looks at the rules and policies of the Federal Reserve, they've been creating money out of thin air since the very beginning. They state it in their rules, actually. Like the Chicago Federal Reserve, any of the main Federal Reserves in the U.S. will address how they create it out of thin air. And it doesn't stop there. There's been multiple movies written about the whole process. If anybody can watch these movies for free, because I know they're on computers, the Money Masters, if they go to Google Video, they can see the entire history of banking and the nature of the loan. They can look at Aaron Russo's Freedom to Fascism, and they can review that entire film there for free as well. That goes into how the Federal Reserve operates in our money system and how it changed in 1913, and it didn't used to be this way. But now it's even changed even more because we deal with computers, which completely changes the playing field entirely, totally.
Right.
I mean, I talk about how dangerous it is to use plastic money because I've had people come to me that have gone through massive identity theft. The FBI doesn't really investigate these issues until you're at least at 100,000. It takes forever to clean up. It can ruin your life. It can totally destroy your financial life. And the banks don't want you to know about that. They've got so many problems with identity theft. It's so easy to do. And it's a global issue now. It's not just here in the U.S. Most of the information gets shipped over to Canada and China immediately. China has been breaking into the U.S., and they've got the best technology right now. They have been breaking into the U.S. all over the place, and it's been reported in the news. It's quite common. So the whole playing field now of what money is, we don't really know what it is anymore.
It's really nothing. It's really a belief.
It's really nothing. They're codes now.
Yeah.
Sending a transfer from point A to point B from L.A. to Zurich, that transfer can be hawked, tapped into, stolen, and it's happening all over the place. So we've got, we've never been here before. We don't know what this is. So everybody's like in for a new experience here.
Right. And the way that I understand it is that if we look at our economic system, from the very beginning, we could see that it was already set up to fail and that this outcome was predetermined the moment that certain decisions were made about our financial and economy systems.
Yes.
Is that correct?
It's designed to fail, and it's designed because some of these boys, the global elitist bankers, IMF, World Bank, all these people that basically own the earth, wanted to do this New World Order thing, which everybody's talking about, and we're hearing Kissinger just said it like a couple of months ago on Wall Street in front of everybody. We have a great chance to have a New World Order, one global government, et cetera, et cetera. And that will fail, of course, because cold fusion arrives. But that's where we're headed right now. It's just, see, the key to this whole...
What's that, James? James, did I lose you? Hello? Okay, I think we lost James, and hopefully we'll get him back on the line in just a moment. But until then, I don't know about you, but I am really fascinated with everything that James is saying. And much of what he's saying I have read and learned and seen before in these movies that he's talking about. There's another one called Zeitgeist, that's also available on the internet. And it is absolutely an amazing movie. There is so much information out there. James happens to be an absolute expert in this area. He understands things at a very, very intricate level. And what he's saying is absolutely true, that we must take responsibility for ourselves individually, that we cannot blame someone else. We cannot blame something else, because every time we do that, we lose our own power. You can look at this in relationships, your personal relationships. You blame someone else. You blame your partner, or you blame your child, or you blame your friends, and before you know it, there's disconnections, there's problems, and all that. And most of all, James, are you there?
Yeah, I'm right here.
James? Okay,
yes.
We lost you for a little bit there.
No, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
You know why it's great?
Why?
Do you understand? So, because it demonstrates exactly what I was talking about. I'm talking from a digital phone, internet phone. This is exactly part of the problems right here. It's where we're happening.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm glad you're back, and thanks for that demonstration. The universe provided a demonstration, and I love how you turned it into an absolutely positive thing. So that's great, because that's how I always look at things too. So you started off a little while ago saying that this is really a great thing that's happening. So I'm still not clear on how it's really a great thing, or our listeners are probably not clear on how it's really a great thing. It's hard to understand that when you're faced with so many challenges. So why is it a great thing?
The same. That's what somebody's about to quit smoking. They don't see that okay, they're going to have withdrawals. They're going to have withdrawals, and it may be tough for a little while, but they're going to be a lot healthier when they get through the withdrawals. People can make this as easy as they want. What's about to happen? What's continuing to happen right now? What I'm saying is, it's a good thing because the how do we put it? The plans right now that the international bankers have had on the entire human race, it's very public now. And people are starting to wake up from a deep, 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 deep sleep. They didn't realize that it was their problem. And now it's become their problem because it's right in their front door. So we're at this situation. So as you wake up from being in a deep, deep sleep, and I mean a hypnotic sleep based on old belief patterns that were all wrong, and our education didn't tell us, and nobody told us, and we're doing stupid stuff like signing contracts we don't understand, and riding that supposed gravy train of financial success that we've been programmed to go for. The way we spend our money on products. Everybody is going to have to deal with this, whether they like it or not, on some level. Some kids are not going to even get to go to college at all because they're not going to be able to afford it. They're not going to be able to get loans. Do we need that anymore? Do we need a degree to get a job? Are there going to be any jobs? What kind of jobs are they? All these things, it's all going to change. It's all going to change, and people will either resist it and try and stand by on the old American principles and the Constitution, all that stuff, most of which is thrown out the window at the moment. What are we to do? So people have to perceive, do they want to walk through the door and see a brighter tomorrow, or they want to go walk through the door and see hell? Most of us want to see hell. We want, big portions of this country, saying this is a religious thing, it's the end of days, and da-da-da-da-da, and that's their meme that they want to follow. But, when you do create your own reality, you can determine how tomorrow will be collectively and individually. So you're the creator now. This is like liberating the human spirit is about to happen. You can make it painful, or you can make it easy.
Yeah. Well, we are definitely in a period of great change, and change is always good. In fact, the Japanese have a symbol for crisis, and it means both danger and opportunity. And it's a choice. It's a choice that whenever something traumatic or something that upheaves your whole life happens, it's because change is at hand. And things have to change. They always change. And in some ways, it's really wonderful that this is such an abrupt wake-up call. Because a lot of times when the wake-up call comes really slow, like it has been with the finances, with our economy, we don't wake up. We just keep adjusting. We keep adjusting. And now, boom, here's that proverbial car that hits the man in the street, and now he wakes up and realizes, oh, I better watch out for cars from now on. And this is great. The wake-up call is wonderful. And it would take something as extreme as this to wake someone up, to wake our country up, to wake the world up. So this really is a gift, whether it seems that way or not now. It totally is a gift.
We have two amazing things that have happened. That one you just mentioned, because this financial collapse is going to take us to a better place. We're going to have new technology that we never even dreamed of come out. We've got cold fusion now. It's free energy forever. People should be demonstrating in the streets every single day that they want cold fusion in this country. It's available. We've had it. 60 Minutes has come out. It's confirmed it. They freaked out, the military-industrial complex. They understand what that means. They understand that it's over. Cold fusion throws off everything. Technology dictates modality. People should be in the streets demonstrating. We want cold fusion. We want cold fusion. We want cold fusion. I mean, this is for people that do not understand or know about this. They made a movie called The Saint. It was with Val Kilmer, and it was the whole story was based upon him going and stealing the latest technology, which was cold fusion. Free energy forever. It changes the entire universe. That we have all this stuff available to us now. Problem is, we've got people from the past that are holding on to want to enslave you and make you work for a living and pay your bills to the gas company, electric company. They're all gone in the future. Money will be gone in the future. Cold fusion destroys everything in its path. Eventually, it's going to take a while to integrate. But these are some of the great things. So we have cars that can run on water. We've got cars that can run on air. France, there's a company in France that's got automobiles that run on compressed air. There's all sorts of stuff that's happening behind the scenes, all of which is great for the planet. It's great for, taking back and letting technology work for us. But, you've got people in certain positions of power that have resisted that for a long time. They do not want this stuff out because it destroys everything in its path, new technology. The car and gas companies, oil companies, it's over. They know it's over. It's over.
Yeah.
As soon as that announcement was made on 60 Minutes, it was the second biggest downloaded event they've ever had. And everybody should know when 60 Minutes comes out with an episode, they know that they're, top-rated show and they have a big reputation for breaking. They go through every millimeter, clip, second, word, dialogue, everything before it goes out in the air. Every single time. So when that came out, I am telling you behind the scenes, because the intelligence agencies planned this, that came out and they vindicated Ponch and Fleischman and said this is real. And we've been hiding it. People have been putting it behind the scenes for 10, 15 years because it destroys everything in its path. The oil companies are done. The electric companies are done. All those things are done in the future. They're all over with this technology. So that's one good thing to look forward to. This is why all this stuff that's happening now, we just need to go through it peacefully and not take it out on each other.
Yeah. And by the way, that you can see that video on the internet. I don't know if it's on YouTube or something else, but if you just Google 60 Minutes and Cold Fusion, it comes up and you can watch the whole episode. So it's quite good. So I totally recommend that our listeners take a look at that. So,
then
so James,
there's second. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was about to say that your audience probably doesn't know that it's participating in another unique time in history right now, where probably tomorrow, or it's probably starting now, but going in tomorrow all the way into Wednesday, the entire satellite communications digital environment will probably have the biggest event ever, which is the Michael Jackson Memorial Service. This is the first time in history where more people will be wired in to one event, probably more than the Olympics or more than the inauguration, actually. Because what we've had is we've had the supposed death of the biggest singer of all time and the entire digital environment, satellite conditions everywhere all over the world that stopped everything. It was like a pattern interrupt on Iran. It was a pattern interrupt on other financial news. Everybody stopped for that. Now, that's a very significant thing to happen. It says, if I wanted to, and had the wherewithal means, I could create an event, use misdirection, and while everybody's, watching that event, I can do something over here on the left side, which is what's going on right now.
And what is that something? What's that?
What I'm saying by that is these are one of the rules of digital conditions. Digital conditions change the playing field of perception. Because, now when we walk around and see our television, we can all be tuning into the same thing. Well, when the camera's aimed at one thing, it's not aimed at another thing. And when everybody's attention is aimed in one direction, the smarter people behind the scenes that have been messing around with people can do stuff when nobody's looking. And that's what's been going on for a long time. So, again, this event that we're about to experience is going to be huge, huge. Mm. It will be the entire Android meme will be fully electric and alive, meaning the entire digital environment will be at its full volume tomorrow. Mm-hmm. It's a unique time in history.
So what can people do on the side, as you say, when everybody's attention is on this memorial service? What can happen?
They can adjust their perception and realize that that's happening. So all they need to know is know. They need to know how the television body, the chip body, the chemical body, and the astral body all work in conjunction towards all the time. We're turning into semi-cyborgs. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
They just need to be aware of it. They need to be aware of the transition that they're in and realize that, under digital conditions, anybody can do whatever they want in banking if they have the technology and wherewithal to do so, and the law behind them.
Yeah.
They can do whatever they want. The Madoffs of the world, there's many of them behind the scenes. A lot of them have been killed. Some of them have confessed. Some of them are complying. This has been going on a long time. So, the bacteria of this whole thing is coming to the surface, which is great. We want to get past it. We want to go through it. So I think people's financial future and planning has to be done with a completely different set of values than ever before. Mm-hmm. They may not get the big, gigantic mansion and 3 Mercedes and trophy wife. They may not get that. Maybe something better.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. It's like people have come to me that have had enormous amounts of financial problems, and they have been humbled drastically. I mean, dramatically different. Mm-hmm. Losing $5 million and moving in back with your parents. That's a bit of an adjustment.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and again, it brings many, many opportunities. So we have only about a minute left, so would you elaborate a little bit on creating communities that support this change and how that's so positive and whatever else you'd like to say about that?
I would suggest everybody is as soon as they get aware of what's happening financially and they get tips of the information, do not just send an email to all your friends. That's not enough because people aren't paying attention to that too much anymore because there's too much information overflow. You want to make a face-to-face kinesthetic response where you touch their body and shake their hand. Hey, what about this? Hey, what about this? Hey, what about this? And talk to people that way. It'll be a new experience for most people because most people are totally isolated and cutting themselves off from talking to anybody. By doing that, you'll make better relationships and open up new doors of understanding and perhaps make new friends too. Because the more people are understanding what's happening in the news and behind the scenes of the news and what the news is now, what it really is, the better off all of us are going to be.
Right. And it also sounds like by doing so, you create a collective consciousness in your community or your neighborhood or even your family, and that is so much greater. One person is one person. You add 2, and it doesn't just double. It just extends exponentially, and then you add another, and it keeps going. So you want to create that kind of collective energy that's all moving in the same direction of transition and positive transition and picking responsibility for yourself and contributing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
so, James, how can people get in touch with you?
If they need to, they can dial me up at 888-213-7655. Again, it's 888-213-7655. If they leave their email and number there, I will respond accordingly to them and privately consult with everybody and see what they really want to do and plan it out.
And do you have a website people can go to?
If they go to jamesmartinezlive.com, they will see my website there. They'll probably go, what the hell is that? But my phone number and email address there, but they can find me there as well.
Sure. And tell them how to listen to you on your show.
Okay.
Your radio
if
show.
They need
yeah.
to, all they need to do is go to Google and then hit James Martinez Cash Flow, and it'll show up on the Achieve Radio Network there, and they can find it right there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, James. I know I've been educated, so I'm sure our listeners have been too. Thank you so much for playing this role in the world. It is phenomenal. It is phenomenal.
Hey,
thank
you.
you.
Very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome, James. I'll have you again on the show, I'm sure, if you take me up on it.
Okay, all right.
Awesome. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. So the best news is that we are responsible for our own future, that we are responsible for raising the consciousness not just in our own beings, in our own families, but in the world, that we all play a part. And it's important that we take that responsibility without blame or shame. It's important that we take that responsibility because when we make other people or other entities responsible, what happens is we give our power away to them. And when we give our power away to anyone or anything else, it makes us feel powerless and like victims. And we are not victims. We are not victims. We have the power to change our consciousness and make different choices based on a new consciousness to change the world. To change the world. You have the power to change the world. Please visit me on my website at nanice.com. That's NANICE.com. You can email me from there. I have a free book download, a free song download. I have tons and tons and tons of articles on all different subjects. And there's a boot camp for your new life. Participate in that. It's wonderful. It's been changing people's lives. It's all there on my website. And please let me know your questions, comments, or even if you think you'd be a great guest for the show. Really enjoy sharing this with you. Have a great week. You have been listening to Chai with Nanice. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having Chai with Nanice. Please go to www.nanice.com for great free stuff that will empower you to live your best possible life. Free books, articles, shows, meditation audios, and so much more at nanice.com. That's NANICE.com. Nanice's books are also available in all major bookstores and Amazon. Check out The Infinite Power of You, Even Gandhi Got Hungry and Buddha Got Mad, Zest Point, Lip Prints, and many others by Nanice Ellis. To find out about one-on-one coaching and how Nanice can personally coach you to experience your best life possible, please email mybestlife@nanice.com.
If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And please join me on my website at nanice.com. That's NANICE.com. Thank you.